So the first thing you need to do is remove the engine cover, and to do that there's literally just one screw at the front to undo, and it's one of those you just have to undo 90 degrees, so just a quarter of a turn, and that's it. And now you just lift the cover at the front and then slide it towards you. You can see the diesel fuel filter just here. So there is like a special set of pliers for this type of hose clamp. But if you're not doing this sort of job often, then it's probably not worth buying them. And you can get away with just using some grips like these, and then a couple of small screwdrivers. So you just squeeze the clamp with the grips, and then you get under the leading edge, and then you just pry the gently pry the front of the clip up, and it'll pop right loose. The other clamp was a little bit more awkward to get to, but I just used the grips in a slightly different position. And now just wiggle the clamps forward onto the filter so that they're out of the way. Even with the clamps removed, the fuel lines can be difficult to get off of the old filter, so a little bit of silicone spray onto the end of the hoses helps. Removing the hoses can be a little bit tricky, and here I've got a really blunt nosed screwdriver, so it's not sharp at all. And what I find is if you push at the top, the bottom, the left and the right, moving around the hose, and then pull on the hose at the same time, then usually you can get it to come free. And like I said, that silicone spray really helps. Okay, good work so far. So now all we have to do is undo the electrical connector to the old filter. There's a little tab at the back that you squeeze, and then you should just pull on it and it'll slide right out. Now all that remains are two clamps that hold the fuel filter in place. These are just clips, so all you need is a flat bladed screwdriver, and then you can just pry out the bottom one and then pry out the top one. Do it in that order, because otherwise the top one gets in the way when you're trying to work on the bottom one. And now you can quite easily slide the old filter upwards and remove it from the clamp. Time to fit the new filter. Just push it in place and make sure the nozzles are facing the right direction, and then you can just push it fully home down into the clamps. And since the clamps are just clips, you can just use your thumb to push them back into place. You'll hear them click in. This time do the top one first, and it'll give you better access to the bottom one underneath. Now we just need to put the fuel lines back on and the electrical connector back on. The fuel lines are different sizes, so they'll only go in one position, and the electrical connection will only go in one position too. You can't get it upside down, so we can't go wrong really. Now all that remains is to put the two fuel line clips back into place. Put them back into a similar position where they came from, and you'll see the indentation in the hose, and then just a quick squeeze from the pliers and you'll hear them click into place. We're almost there now, but we still need to prime the fuel system and then run the car for a bit and then test for leaks, so let's do that now. And you press the engine start button but without your foot on the brake, and that will run the fuel pump and prime the system. You actually have to push the button twice. Now go ahead and start the engine and run it for a while, or better still, go for a short drive, and then we'll inspect just to make sure that the diesel fuel filter is not leaking at the hoses. Just have a good check around the hoses where they go onto the fuel filter, and just look for a diesel leak. If it is leaking, you'll spot it because it will start to pool on top of the filter. Sometimes you might find that the end of the hoses leak here, and if they do, then you'll have to get those hoses back off and then cut about 10 or 15 millimeters off the end of the hose. You usually have a little bit of extra flexible to play with. It's not unheard of for the end of the hoses to get damaged because they're being pushed onto the filter and back off again and that sort of thing. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, gratefully received. If you're not already one of my subscribers, then please consider subscribing and clicking the bell, and then you'll catch my next video when I bring it out. As always, if you have any questions or comments at all, just post them in the comment section below. I do read them, and I'll always try to help if I can. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.